narratives and reporting the facts. We have a team of absolutely fearless, courageous journalists who get up every day to tell the truth and report the facts, especially when they might be facts the government doesn't want people to hear. And so they targeted us because we were effective, because we were exposing the lies about the Russia collusion hoax, about the Kavanaugh hoax, about COVID-19 lies that it came out of a wet market in China. We were exposing ridiculous new election laws that ignored existing laws in the Constitution in 2020. We exposed the whole Hunter Biden laptop thing, which was 100% real. It wasn't a hoax. Somebody remarked earlier that, oh, well, you have the market to take care of. If a newspaper or a network says something that's not true, why people won't follow them? Well, we know that's not true because MSNBC and CNN, they're all still around. They lied repeatedly. They were not targeted for censorship. And I have to say, it's nice to be here to hear a bipartisan support for free speech. Man, I wish a lot of y'all were helping us as the Biden administration was censoring us. We've been in federal court for 2 years trying to vindicate our free speech rights. And I gotta tell you, it's pretty aggravating being an American citizen whose family's been here for hundreds and hundreds of years to see illegal immigrants get faster action in federal district courts than we've gotten. We are still awaiting vindication and relief. And we were not targeted because what we were saying was false. We were targeted because what we were saying was true.
And how much, talk to me about the expense of having to be tied up with trying to get your day in court for that period of time.
You know, it's extensive. Thankfully, we have lawyers who are representing us out of the goodness of their own hearts. But if you look at the effect of censorship over years, Alex made the great point that you cannot compensate someone for the crime of having shut them up by unjustified means for years. That speech that he should have been able to give for years, he can never give. That opportunity is gone. But there's also a real cost in terms of money. I cannot even begin to think about how many millions or tens of millions of dollars we lost out on because our advertisers were targeted, because our readers were targeted, because Facebook and Google and Twitter and YouTube were told to throttle us. It has to be in the millions or tens of millions of dollars. Quite frankly, we're owed restitution.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Well, I'm sure you'll support my legislation, which would give a private right of action to a citizen to sue an individual government bureaucrat for suppression of speech. I think that turns the tables on the incentive structure that currently exists. Senator Mackey.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've heard a lot today about the Biden administration supposedly censoring of conservatives by talking to social media companies about misinformation. Republicans have wasted an enormous amount of time and resources over the past few years attempting to prove this theory correct, only for it to be repeatedly proven false. The Supreme Court shot down their big lawsuit against the Biden administration in a 6-3 vote. Their big House Judiciary Committee investigation came up empty. And in the chairman's report last week, the supposedly incriminating emails from Biden administration officials pressuring the big tech platforms to censor conservatives, included explicit disclaimers that the officials weren't threatening any action against any platform. Strike one, strike two, strike three, you're out, Republican theory of censorship. Since my Republican colleagues seem confused about what actual government censorship looks like, I thought I could show a few of them to you. It's not just the mafia boss threats from Brendan Carr at the FCC to Disney and ABC. On 6 different occasions, Donald Trump took office and he now has posted on Truth Social explicitly calling for the Federal Communications Commission to revoke broadcast station licenses owned by major networks over their editorial decisions. On February 6th, Trump said CBS should, quote, lose its license over its interview of Vice President Kamala Harris in the fall of 2024. Just over 2 months later, on April 13th, Trump again said CBS should lose its license for its Harris interview. On July 26th, Trump wrote, networks aren't allowed to be political pawns for the Democratic Party. It has become so outrageous that, in my opinion, their licenses could and should be revoked. On August 24th, that was a big day for unconstitutional threats. Twice in under an hour, Trump said that ABC and NBC should lose their licenses. And then just last Sunday, Trump said the FCC should, quote, look into the license of NBC. Mr. Kimmelman, do you agree that the explicit threats from the President of the United States against broadcasters are far more dangerous than emails from the Biden administration officials identifying online misinformation?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmelman, how many times did President Biden threaten to revoke a broadcast license in our country?
None to my knowledge.
Mr. Kimmelman, how many times did President Biden publicly direct his FCC chairman to look into a broadcaster's license?
None to my knowledge.
Again, zero. This hearing is a farce. We're not focusing upon the imminent threat to the First Amendment, the beating heart of democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of press. That's what this hearing should be about. What's going on at the FCC right now? We are relitigating an issue that the Supreme Court has already decided, that in fact, independent analysts have debunked, even as President Trump and Federal Communications Chairman Brendan Carr and other Trump officials wage a war on free speech that this country has not seen since the McCarthy era in the 1950s. Like during that Red Scare, if you're a voice of dissent in this country, you have a target on your back, and they let you know you have a target on your back if you speak up. Law firms, universities, protesters, news media, all have faced this administration's wrath for their political speech. These threats are real, they're scary, and they undermine our democracy. The president is threatening the free speech of the broadcasters in our country every time they dare to run some news story that questions their judgment as an administration. Yet we're wasting time here trying to distract the American people with old emails from the Biden administration while Chairman Carr turns the FCC into the Federal Censorship Commission, threatening free speech, censoring free speech in our country, allowing Donald Trump to continue with his direct attacks on the First Amendment in our country. This is an urgent crisis for our country. Our democracy is at risk when the First Amendment is being challenged so fundamentally by the president out of the White House and instructing his chairman of the Federal Communications Commission to revoke the licenses of anyone who dares run any program that runs contrary to his views. That's what we should be focusing upon right now. That is the threat to our democracy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. And to mix sports...
Mr. Chairman, just a quick question to my colleague, just 5 seconds. Did you sign on to that letter asking the FCC to revoke the license of Sinclair Broadcasting in 2018?
I'll have to go and to review that, but from my perspective, what Trump is doing right now at a presidential level, ordering the FCC to act, is absolutely an imminent threat to our democracy.
Okay, and I also, mixing sports metaphors on your strikes, I'm going to throw the red flag because the federal district court, I know something about this, said that the Biden administration had engaged in the worst example of violation of the First Amendment in American history. That decision was upheld by the Fifth Circuit. The Supreme Court did not rule against it. It sent it down. It didn't rule on the merits. It sent it down for a standing issue. So, Senator Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd first just like to start by making a very clear statement. Government censorship